Hello and welcome to another episode on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzy and I'm your host for today's show. And as you can see on screen, today we're joined by a very special guest, Liverpool 12th man. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Very, somber day for the sense of game results on the pitch, but happy results for the Diaz family being reunited with his father. So,
yeah, that was very good news, especially just before the game as well. I think it was perfectly timed. So, good news for Diaz and his family, who, as we can all imagine, has been going through a very, very horrific time. So, there's light after that tunnel. So I'm glad to see, I saw pictures earlier on today of his father getting checked up by the medical team. So that was good to see that he's all safe and well. In terms of football, we can touch on today's team as well, today's match. What was your reaction of the game?
Disappointing. Definitely considering that we could have put this to the bed, I should say. We could have just basically been able to take on the rest of the group games differently, but all the same, it's not the end of the world. I know that it is a blip. It is a little bit of a bump when it comes to the progress along the road that we're looking for, but it's definitely something that we can overcome.
No, most definitely. I think, it's definitely a blip considering the performance we had against Luton as well. I personally think we spoke about on my show as well, where the reaction from the fan base was a bit OTT, in my opinion. It wasn't as bad as what people made it seem it to be. It wasn't like it was a masterclass where we got outplayed. It was just we were very wasteful in front of goal. But
it's the second time. That's the major concern I have is the wastefulness in the sense of like the fact that this is the second game where we've had a lot of shots. We've almost doubled the shots of our opponents, and yet our opponents ended up beating us. So I mean, like that is certainly wasteful. Having 19 shots but only having 4 on goal, whereas they had 11 shots and they had 5 on goal. That means that they're being more clinical with their attempts than we are, and that's something that is concerning.
That is a big concern. I know you're a big Darwin Nunez fan. In terms of his reaction or the fans' reaction afterwards, do you think it was justified? I personally don't think it was, but what do you make of?
What do you mean by the fans' reaction?
So the fans' reaction is kind of back to slandering him again in terms of, he's wasteful, he's not a prolific striker. You know how it is. Like, he'll have a great game. We're all Team Nunez all of a sudden, and then when he has that one moment of, where he hasn't finished the easy chance, it's like, he's not going to be that top player. Maybe we should replace him in the future. That's the kind of stuff that I was seeing online where maybe he's not the guy that we think he was. Like, what do you make of it? Because I think it's a bit premature and far-fetched, but I'd like to get your views on that.
Sure. My honest opinion about that is something that I've been trying to be sure to be a champion of, in essence, and that is kind of going out at the reactionary fans that we engage in consistently. And there are those out there. Let's just keep it plain and simple. There are out there that have a earnest and sincere love for the player and support them or at least are critical but constructive with their criticism when necessary. Yeah. But there are those though that overwhelming murmur is always heard from those that have always had an agenda or wanted to, because a lot of people want to feel like they're the smartest man in the room, and you're making like statements of like, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that, and then when you see that you could be wrong, you just double down, and you get deeper and deeper. It becomes so much more the sense of every opportunity that you get, you're going to hop on that opportunity to say, see, I told you so. And it's one of those things where it's just like, it can get frustrating if you're trying to engage in an actual conversation about the situation, because it's not about I told you so about this case. It's more so about you just want to be right. You just want to be right, So it's what it is. The Darwin guys, the haters, and all that stuff. It's typical. It's very typical. Yeah, it's just,
No, I agree with you. You know, I think in terms of like, obviously we do regular content as content creators. So for me, when I review a match, it's literally I review each player by their performance on that game. There's no agenda. There's no like, I don't like the look of him, so I'm gonna give him a bad score today. It's what I see is what you're going to get in terms of my rating. So I feel like in terms of this season, I feel like Darwin's actually improved a lot in terms of what he showed last season. In terms of his hold up play has been a lot better. His link up ball playing ability as well has improved a lot. There's been a lot of times where his finishing has improved, where I feel like he's a bit more calculated as well, where he's trying to be a bit more calm in front of goal. Obviously, there are moments where I think, let's say if the ball's got a bit of a bounce, like his first instinct is always just to smash it. So there's areas in his game where he will learn with more game time and more experience, where there's certain shots that you need to kind of use. So I kind of use the analogy of golf, where I don't play golf, but I know you have different types of clubs, well, for different types of shots, right? It's the same in football as well, where Darwin Nunez needs to find that right mix or that right balance, where for certain shots, you're better off going for that side foot, or for certain shots, you're better off going, smashing in the top corner. So
for certain shots, certain clubs, right?
Yeah, and like the fan base, I feel like so reactionary, where they want him to fail, which I find such a crazy way of thinking, because at the end of the day, he's a Liverpool player. We are Liverpool fans. So regardless if he's good or bad, if he's giving up his all in these matches, he gets our full support. So everyone has the right to give that sort of not criticism, but that review of a player. Like, oh, he didn't do well, or you're entitled to give your opinion about a player on performance based, but not really just because you don't like him, or he wasn't your first choice striker last year. You never wanted him. So that's the part I'm finding a bit frustrating about our fan base, where when we have a draw or we've lost, like today. I just did a match reaction show, so shout out to K-Mac and Uncle Roz. They came on as well. The topic was about the inverted role, where K-Mac is like hates that inverted.
You said inverted and K-Mac, and it's just like, oh goodness, I'm like, let me prepare myself for what's about to be dropped.
Yeah, but it splits opinion. So, what do you make of this whole inverted role thing? Because for me, I don't mind it, but for me, it's always been a thing where it has to be tactically suited to our opposition. So if we need more ball possession in the middle of the park, then you can bring him into certain phases or transitions of play during the game, rather than that being like a static position through the game. So what's your whole opinion on the inverted role for Trent Alexander-Arnold?
I think that he's given that freedom to kind of justify whether he wants to play further out wide or if he wants to play inverted more. I think that that's something that he's given the freedom, because you see him all over the pitch, whether it's the left side, middle, the right side, he's all over the pitch and, distributing and being a facilitator. So when it comes to Trent being inverted, obviously there is a more, heightened attention towards getting him involved and in the mix of our offense. And something that I've always liked to see, or I've always appreciated, at least when it comes to Trent, is that he's not exactly like the greatest dribbler in the world. Okay, that's something I don't think. He's not someone where I'm like, oh, I see him, he's going to go through and do some, Hazard style, like, dribbling approach or something like that. But he does have the ability to, once he sees the pitch, he's able to say, I can make that pass. And I know a lot of people are very critical of the fact of, oh, he's trying to make a lot of passes, or he's trying to do this, or he's trying to do that with his passes. But there's very few people on our team that can make those passes, and he just happens to be one of them. So someone has to keep that defense really like on their toes. Someone has to think that, like, I can't just rest on these laurels. I can't just rest here, and because he's not going to try to make this pass. No, allow for him to try to make that pass, because even if he misses it, guess what? He'll try again. I think that his same concept is very similar. Like Trent's concept of passing is similar to Darwin's concept with shooting. It's just keep going at it. You might not get it the first time, but chances are when you do get it, you're going to definitely get it right, and that's what it comes down to.
No, I definitely agree with that. Just got a couple of comments there. So Ravi says, "Big up, lads. Big up to yourself, Ravi." He says that inverted just don't do it when it doesn't work well. So I guess Ravi's not a fan of the inverted row thing as well. He says, "I know we are sponsored by Nike. Just do it, but don't do it. It doesn't work with the players we have." Like I said to you earlier on, it splits opinion. I don't mind it, but I'm not like, no, just spin it completely, because look, towards the latter stage of last season, those 12 games, it helped us.
It helped. That's why I'm saying reactionary. That's why I'm saying reactionary. Like, as in, I get it. There's been 2 games that the performances haven't been great, and some of the placement can now be pushed. Oh, well, this wasn't working and that wasn't working, even though it could be just team and / individual performances. But realistically, just like you said, last year, that was the game. That was one of the major game changers for our season. Otherwise, we would not even been playing in Europa. Okay.
No.
So, like, let's just keep it 100. Like, as in, the role has its purpose, and I will be with the masses here and say, yes, I don't necessarily want to see the inverted role every time, all the time, but I do like that option for our club. And if it means that, because there's been games where we've seen Trent not really do the inverted role. So it's not like it's something where this is everything, every day, all day. This has got to be this form. No, we've seen him in other roles. So
yeah, no, I totally agree. You just mentioned that it wasn't working last year in terms of this team. So our team this season, we've got a new midfield, 4 new signings.
Right.
A lot of people said, it's going to be that settling in season where these players will take time and flourish under this new regime, under Klopp 2.0, as everyone's stating it right now. But I feel like in terms of early signs, we've been really good. What have you made of Liverpool's season so far? Would you say it's been a surprise in terms of how well we performed with a new midfield, or it's kind of expected with the quality of players we have in the squad?
What I would say, with the players that we got those players for a particular reason. I know that, again, I've said reactionary quite a few times. I know that some people don't or aren't fans of history. Okay, I happen to be someone that's I love history. It's one of my favorite subjects in the world. So when it comes to history, I know that this club has an immensely incredible track record with acquisitions, and especially utilizing the whole analytics team, especially utilizing the whole Moneyball concept, or the non-Moneyball concept now, if you want to call it that, but some of the more, with the German sporting director that's not necessarily like a Moneyball type sporting director. All these things were like, okay, where are we going to go with it? We have the best manager in the world, in my opinion, who's very, very adept at developing talent and turning things around, despite what people might think. And what I do see with this club is a club that has an opportunity to, if given an opportunity to really do well and go and kind of fly under the radar. A lot of us, I have put a lot of like expectations on this team, I admit. But at the same time, if those same people that are out there saying, this team needs time to grow, this team needs time to know, learn, and meld together, then don't be those same people saying this doesn't work, or that, like, as in this is done, or this is that. Give it time to at least develop, or see if it can develop. I mean, it's not like, it'd be one thing if we had to start the same start as last year, then I can have this conversation. But we don't have that conversation. Like, as in, I get the loss today, but if anything, in the Premier League, at least, in my mind, I think we're still undefeated. And I know it sounds strange and bold, but I mean, realistically, I think that, if it wasn't for a VAR decision, like, taking a game away from us, we're undefeated in play. So it's one of those things where I get it, 2 defeats, or a defeat and a draw against a Luton, against a Toulouse. I get it. Someone might be trying to hit the alarm bells, but realistically, I would like to say, okay, let's see what happens in this game coming up, because you're right. The game coming up is will be more of a testament of what to expect from this club than a Europa game where we have 9 subs, 9 different subs into the regular lineup, in a Luton game in which, we end up getting the tying goal from a player who's like, whose father was kidnapped and still in custody, by his own kidnappers at the time. And he comes in, and with the couple minutes he's in the game, scores the game tire. Like, this team has some real, I would like to say monster mentality, but like, there's remnants of it still there, and I believe that. And people were very, very strong and vocal to say that when we went up against when we were at 9 men or 10 men, very couple of times a season. But now is the time to say, hey, you know what? I get it. You can say what you want about this club having their 2 blemishes here, but I still think that this club can rally and be great.
No, I definitely echo what you said. I think, some people want things too quickly as well. I feel like the players that we signed, I think they were the right profile of players, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know the Endo signing might have been a bit underwhelming for a lot due to the fact that we were linked with a lot of names in the course of the summer.
I think the Endo signing made sense, though. Now, just to interject real quick. I think the Endo signing made sense under this pretense. The Endo signing made sense in that he said it himself in the interview. He said that they were interested in going for some youthful DMs. That didn't work out. So the natural reaction to that wasn't, oh, let's go for a even younger, or if not a fellow youth player that has even more of a probability of, or less likely probability of reaching excessive heights, because now you're going not with the first choice or not the second choice, you're going with the third choice youth player. They said to themselves, no, it's a better acquisition to go get a veteran player who Klopp has apparently had his eye on for a couple of years, and has gone out of his way to say, I understand this goes against FSG model, but this is the player I want. And I know he hasn't necessarily given the opportunities that everybody wants to see. But again, like, the same could be said with Fabinho, in that when Fabinho joined our team, he was not great. No. And Klopp had to somewhat try to figure out a way to navigate him into the real blood flow of this team. And once he does get into that, it's a different story.
No, that's a good point, because when Fabinho joined, when he was playing at Monaco, he was used to playing the double pivot. So he never played as a sole number 6. So for him, that took a bit of time to adjust to that role as well. Yep. But no, I agree, because I know, yes, we had certain targets for that CDM role. It didn't happen for whatever reason. But I feel like hindsight, that is probably the right play that we should have signed in terms of someone with experience, in my opinion, because you've got McAllister now, who I know splits another opinion as well in terms of him playing as a number 6. A lot of people say, no, that's not his role. It should be a number 8. But the way I'm looking at it is that we've got ball carriers in our team now. We've got the likes of Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, Jones, Elliott. These are ball carriers. So when you have these players in your squad, unfortunately, McAllister will have to drop deeper and kind of be that deep playmaker as well, in my opinion. So if he's going to be predominantly the main guy in the team, then you can't sign a Caicedo for 100 million to be backup. Does that make sense? So it made more sense to have a player like Endo, who has the experience but has the profile that we needed, because all the players that we signed, so we signed McAllister, he's traditionally a number 8 but plays as a number 6, did it for Brighton, he's doing it for Argentina right now as well, so that is definitely within his locker. So Szoboszlai for Red Bull Leipzig, he was pretty much a 10 but played on the wings quite a lot, so that shows that he's multifunctional. So let's say when Salah's at AFCON, we've got someone that can cover that right wing position if required. So a player that can play in different positions but is impactful at the same time. Endo, for me, is that destroyer that we needed in the team. Whether he plays in, week out, that's all dependent on Klopp in terms of who he wants to select in the team. And it also depends on opposition. We might not need a destroyer in that game. We might need to play more possession football. So that's something we need to look out for. And Gravenberch, someone I've been a big fan of for the last couple of years.
Right.
Been saying it out loud that that's the one I want. And we finally got him. He's that box-to-box player. Just because he had a very underwhelming season for Bayern Munich, he's just been written off. He's like 20, 21 years old. He's got a lot of years. He's finding his rhythm now. We're seeing glimpses of it. And I think going forward, we're going to see a better player in this Liverpool team. So
it is.
Yeah.
You're spot on with what you say. Again, I was just going to add to that. You said ball carriers. I'll admit Dom, Gravenberch, Jones, they're all good ball carriers, but they're not to the level of like the Andre that we're trying to go and get, or certainly not to the level of Thiago, because I don't even think Andre's to the level of Thiago either just yet. But I mean, like, and those players are players that Klopp, in my personal opinion, has wanted or gravitated towards, because those Thiago can and often did receive the ball at the 18-yard line, and and he's receiving the ball at the box because he's press resistant. You understand that you can put the ball to his feet, he can turn, he can guard, he can get, it's next to impossible to get the ball off his feet, and then he's also able to put dimes when it comes to passes towards those diagonals or getting it forward to your Doms, to your Curtis Jones, to like your McAllisters. That's where and what I'm envisioning, because by being able to do that, that's what the player that we're kind of missing, because Fabinho wasn't that player either. You're not expecting Endo to be that player. Those are just straight destroyers. That's their capabilities. But when it comes to having someone with that, which is what they're trying to get out of McAllister, which is, hey, go to the edge of the box, receive the ball, be able to control it, turn it, progressively dribble it forward if you not necessarily can, or progressively dribble and then get a progressive pass. And those things aren't the easiest to do.
No, that's definitely a fair assessment, I would say, in terms of how we play as a team. Now, I feel like me and you're probably a bit more optimistic Liverpool fans, where we're a bit more level-headed. But in terms of your feelings towards this next fixture, which is Liverpool versus Brentford in the Premier League, how are you feeling about this game? Are you confident? Are you a bit concerned because of our recent blip? What are your thoughts going into this game?
I'm confident in this pretense. I'm not necessarily. I'm not like cocky, or not like braggadocious, or I'm not saying that we should hand this game to them and da. I think that we have some factors in our favor. The factors in our favor is it is at Anfield. If it was at Brentford, I'd be have a little bit more concern. But it's at Anfield, so as long as, and I don't think there's any doubt, pretty much any doubt in it. But as long as the fans at Anfield can rise and support this club and really put some energy into them, then I think that we should be able to get a W out of this. Brentford's not a bad team. They have exactly the same record as us in the last 5 games. But the difference is, though, they're or not the exact same, actually, because we had a draw in our last match. So they actually have a better record than us, because they have 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, and we have a loss, 2 draws, 2 wins. So if you're going to say who's more on form, certainly Brentford's a little bit more on form. But I also think that Anfield is going to be determinant, the difference maker in this, and I believe that we're a comparable enough team that we can utilize Anfield to get us over the line in this game.
No, most definitely. In terms of the Brentford team, so you're saying they've been more informed than us, which is a fair point. Who would you regard as the danger man of this team? Because I think one of the viewpoints from a neutral fan's perspective is that I think we all thought they would struggle for goals due to Ivan Toney not being there, because obviously he's suspended until the new year. So what have you made of their season so far in more general terms?
I know that people say about Ivan Toney and everything else, because I know there's a lot of Ivan Toney fans. I know Ivan Toney even grew up as a Liverpool fan, so I'm not going to talk shade on him or anything like that. But when a player goes out like the way that Ivan Toney especially went out, most players will look at that as being an opportunity to make something of yourself, or make your real moment. You know, I know a lot of people are calling out for Simicast to do that, for instance, with our club right now. You know, Simicast hasn't necessarily stepped up, which is unfortunate to the level that we all, or at least I would like to see them play at. I'm sure everyone would like to see them play at. But he just hasn't. And I'm not saying it's a wrap. It's 2 games, you know, or 3 games. Like, you know, there's still he's gonna have to figure out one way or another, you know, or Gomez is gonna be playing there, you know. So, but there with this opportunity, what I mean by that is Brian Maboya, right, has an opportunity to really, you know, shine in the lack of, you know, goal creation on this club that they have. And yeah, it's something of an interesting situation with them when whether it's Jensen, who's had a good year this year, and then again Maboymo, right? Maboymo, and I think there was someone else too. So I know
Wissa's I think stepped up this season as well. He was normally a more of an impact sub. He's playing more games now.
Yeah. That's exactly. I was gonna say either maupay too, or even Wissa. Yeah, they've had some players step up and have some really decent you know, contributions, and that's what I really ask from any player on our club. You know, when it comes to being great, sure, everyone wants world-class stars and everything else, but there's no team out there that has world-class stars top to bottom on the bench, top to bottom either. Okay. Yeah. So it's more so about your contributions. You spoke about, you know, some of the players we got in acquisitions earlier. It's not about them being world stars again and then just coming in and being a starter, being a squad player. It's just as important sometimes as being a starter, you know. Yeah. So those things are all things that we're seeing and from this Brentford team, from our team as well. And that's the reason why I'm saying Brentford has the ability to hit us and possibly like surprise us with a goal, if not, I don't know about 2, but definitely a goal. Now I say that and possibly 2. but I do see we need to step up. I'd like to see a step up in the game to Cody. I'd like to see a breakout for Cody, and all those out there that have been throwing hate on my man Diego. Shame on y'all. Diego's a goal scorer, dog.
He's
a goal scorer.
He's that killer in front of goal. So there's been a lot of shade on Jota. I think it came from last season as well, where I think he was linked to a move to Newcastle. So people were like, oh, let's just sell him. But I was a bit on the fence with that because I feel like I know what I've seen Jota do in the past. So I'm like, that for me, he still has a very important role in the team because I think that all of our attackers do, because we've got 5 solid attackers. But the good thing about these 5 attackers, they can all play with each other. It's not like not 2 of them can only play one role. They can all pretty much play to a certain standard in every role in that front 3. So for me, it's always a good headache for Klopp to have a number of players that can fit in those roles. So what we'll do now, we'll predict the lineups for both teams. So we'll start off with Brentford, and I think we'll dig deeper in terms of talking about Liverpool. So let's share the graphics with the viewers, and then we can talk about Brentford. So in terms of their lineup, I think easy one probably to start with is the goalkeeper. So Flecken is normally the goalkeeper. I think we'll both agree that he will start in this game.
Yeah.
Flecken. So put Flecken there. In terms of their back 4, so Pinnock.
I don't know if they're going to go back 4, to be honest with you, but
really, what formation do you think they'll set up?
I think that they'll probably do like a 3-5-2.
Interesting. Okay, let's put that in there. Okay, like the way you're thinking. So, who would be that back 3? Would you say Pinnock on that left-hand side of the centre back?
Actually,
or would it be on?
Yeah, I put the on the right side. Agar. I would put Agar.
Yes. Yeah, a good game against West Ham as well. And then centrally would be...
I put Pinnock central, actually.
Pinnock central.
Yeah, okay. and put Collins on the left.
Pinnock central. Interesting. What makes you think that they'll play a back 3? Is it just the way they set up as a team?
I think they'll put a back 3 because I normally look at how they set up against other teams that are, I'm going to say similar, but teams that you feel you can get a result against, but are more like how you put it, like potentially difficult matchups. And so, for instance, against Chelsea, against Arsenal, those are two more difficult matchups for them to probably try to get a result from, despite the fact I get it, Chelsea is what it is. But you know, you can definitely say Arsenal is they played Arsenal earlier too in the year, so they're a formidable team to go against. And in both of those games, they went with a 3-5-2. So when I see those situations, I'm thinking, yeah, if they're not gonna, they might have set up, I don't know, against I don't know their entire I don't have their entire what's the name history of games, but I don't know, when they played against Everton, they might have come out in a more of a 4-3-3 possibly or something.
Correct.
Yeah, but when it comes to these games like this, I think it is. Yeah, let me see. I just looked it up. Yeah, so for instance, for Everton, they came out in a 4-3-3. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's one of those situations where a team like Everton, okay, 4-3-3, got you. But a team like Arsenal, Liverpool, you know, City, they're going to come out in a 3-5-2, I think.
Yeah, because midfield will be a key for them, I think, to try and get as much possession as possible. So having a more flooded midfield makes more sense. And that's an interesting point, actually. Yeah. In terms of the midfield, who do you think will play in this fixture in a midfield five?
Okay, so in their midfield five, I had Hickey on the left.
Hickey on the left, okay.
Hickey. Yep.
There we go.
I had Janet, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Oh no, on the right, I had if you're going to go all the way on the right, then that's going to be Roselev, I think his name is Roes.
Yeah, is it Rosal?
Oh wait, hold on. R-O-E-R, excuse me. It's Rorslev. R-O-E-R-S.
Let's try it again. So R-O?
R-O-E-R.
E-R. This one. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
Next to him, I have Jensen.
Yeah, Jensen's been good this season.
In the middle is their captain, Nargard.
There we go. Yep.
And then next to him is Janit, Janeit.
This one? Janelle. Yep. Okay. That's an interesting midfield. I think Jensen was going to be key in that midfield because he's quite box to box, isn't he? And he likes to get at the end of a lot of long shots as well. So I feel like he will be one that we'll need to be wary of, I think, in that central park.
Yeah.
I think Hickey's quite good as well, actually. I think he's got a good sort of balance on that left-hand side. So I think he'll definitely play a part. That's interesting. And then up top, would it be Mbeumo or Wissa, or do you have someone else in mind?
No, Wissa on the left and my boy Mbeumo on the right.
On the left. Mbeumo. So that looks like a tricky opposition to me. I think you've got the back three, where Pinnock has been probably one of their standout players. I think this season, been very solid in defense. Ayer had a good game against West Ham, so he's coming back in form. Norgard's always been solid. Then you've got Yano and Jensen especially, who's chipped in with a lot of goals this season. And Mbeumo, I feel like he's definitely taken Ivan Toney's mantle this season, where he's stepped up as the main guy now, and he's trying to get the goals. He's playing with a bit more freedom, in my opinion, as well. So, yeah, it's an interesting lineup. I would definitely say Wissa's a live wire as well. I feel like he's one of those guys where, especially attacking on the channels, he's going to be a very difficult one to mark out in games.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay, that's a very interesting lineup. Okay. Let's do the Liverpool lineup. So let me share the graphics for the Liverpool team, and we can chop it up in terms of who we think will start. So formation, are we doing 4-3-3, or do you think we might bring back the inverted role?
Oh, well, I mean, if you're going to look at it that way, yeah, but I think 4-3-3 is what they'll set up in. Yeah.
Fine. That's fair.
They'll do it inverted, of course. You're right. You're right about that, but I don't think that
that'll be in like certain parts of the game. It won't be like the standout formation as soon as we kick off. So,
right.
Alisson, obviously, I don't think me and you need to argue into who starts in goal. Back four. So left pack, I think naturally you say Tsimikas, but he didn't start against Luton. So is his position in question because
how many minutes did he play today?
He didn't have a great game.
No. It's just how many minutes did he play? Did he get
today? Subbed? He played.
He got subbed. So
he was subbed at halftime.
Yeah. Oh well, that's not a good one.
we made 3 subs at halftime. So it was Salah, Szoboszlai, and Trent came off. So Tsimikas was the one that Trent took Tsimikas' place in the team, and then that made Gomez left back, and then Trent went to right back. So yeah, he was substituted at halftime. He was responsible for the first goal that conceded. So yeah, he didn't have a great game, to say the least. So it's question mark in terms of selection. But who do you think should start in this game?
I'm going to give Tsimikas to start again. He needs to figure it out. If you only got a half of a run, then he needs to. That obviously means that you're going to get another chance. When you get your next chance, you got to make the most of it. Because when you can start getting subbed out at halftime, it means like either they're eyeing your minutes really, really strongly, or they're saying, "Hey, you just don't have it."
Got to fix up. No, it's true. I think it's definitely the latter, to be fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Right back. I would say Trent safely. Yeah. Fine.
You might as well just put in Salah and Trent.
Always, right? Always. It's so true. Yeah, that's never really a debate whenever I do these predicted lineups. So we'll do that. Centre back pairing. So I think Van Dijk, obviously, I think he should be the first one.
There's a couple. There's like 3 or 4 players, if not 5 players now that are pretty much cemented in.
Exactly.
Dom is definitely another player that's cemented in.
Yeah. Who would you Van Dijk's partner in this one? Would it be Matip or Konate? Or
I'd like to see Konate in this one. I think that you're not going to necessarily need the offensive abilities of the runs that Matip provides. And I think that Konate would, considering he didn't start last game, will have an opportunity to basically he'll do a little bully ball, I'm sure, but I mean, it's Anfield, so hopefully he'll get away with it.
Definitely. No, I agree. I think that'll be our first choice. Back forward there. DM, would you give Endo a run at this one, or would we place McAllister for this one?
I think he's going to go. I think I would go with Endo, but he's going to go. Klopp's going to go with Maka.
Yeah. At 10. Yeah. So in terms of Thiago, I think the latest news is that he won't be returning, and he might return before the new year, but that's not official. That's not hugely confirmed, but that is what I think Pep Lijnders mentioned in one of the press conferences. And in terms of Bajtic, there's no further update in terms of his injuries, so I'm not sure if he's in contention. So it is between McAllister for that CDM role, I think. In terms of the 2 number 8, so Curtis Jones, I know didn't start against Luton Town, but he should be in contention to play.
I think that's the reason why he didn't play, is because he'll probably end up playing. in this game.
Is Gravenberch injured or is he available for this one?
Gravenberch is not injured either, but
okay.
I think that Curtis Jones will play. I think Curtis Jones should start.
On the left hand.
I have love for Gravenberch, and I'm not saying that it's because it's a testament of like his gameplay or that Gravenberch isn't as good as Curtis Jones. None of that.
Yeah.
It's just that it's more like if you're not going to play Curtis Jones in that game, and the only reason why Curtis Jones wasn't playing originally was because of the red card suspension.
Yes.
It's been a gradual press and push to getting him back into the starting lineup, because when he was in the starting lineup, he really did do well. So I think you're going to see somewhat of a rotation of that spot with him, and I think that. But I think Curtis Jones should start.
Curtis Jones, let's place him there, and I think Szoboszlai is another shoe-in player in the midfield, or would you say someone else?
No, Dom's.
Dom's that guy now. Okay,
he's that guy.
He is that guy. Up top, you're saying Nunez?
Up top, this is where I would slightly differ. I know I'm not going to see this lineup, but there's a couple of players that could be asked to play, because I know Nunez got in. He got in second, third minute for Gakpo. So I would like to see Cody get not only rhythm but some confidence. Since that knee injury, it's been kind of a little bit of struggle for him to get his footing and get back to that level. And even before that, he was playing out of position, so mightily playing out of position. Like a couple of games we had him in the 8 role where Curtis Jones is, So getting him in that goal scoring mentality, I would like to see happen again. So I would like to see him get a start, and I'd also want to see Diego get a start, and that's no knock against Diaz, who I know is pretty much a guaranteed starter. There's no knock against Nunez, who I know is not necessarily a guaranteed starter, but the favored starter. Yeah. I just would like to see these players kind of get a little bit of a footing with it. Yeah. And this is not me saying I want to see Nunez as an impact sub. This is not me saying that, Diaz can't play left wing. If anything, I'm saying they can. It's just an option. That's all. It's just an option.
Don't worry. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Timers out there where I get cooked and chopped and shot.
I know. Got to be careful what you say. No, I definitely agree with you, because we're reviewing this team based on this game, not who's the best player for Liverpool's starting 11. This is for this game. So, so context has to be taken when we're doing these lineups. I actually have the same lineup. I think Gakpo, you've said it spot on. In terms of his recent introduction back to the team, he just doesn't have that rhythm again. He's just lacking that free-flowing play that he used to play with before that injury. So I think he needs to go back to playing that more central role. I know he is accustomed to playing left wing because that was his role at his previous club, so he can play that role. But under Liverpool's regime, he's been more of a false 9 or up top, however you want to phrase it. So I feel like having him back will be good. And you also mentioned that if Brentford do play with midfield 5, then it might be good to have an attacker who can drop deep. Then it just gives us an extra body to control possession and try and make things happen and get our 2 forwards or wide forwards to come a bit more inverted. So you've got Diogo Jota, who for me would be perfectly suited for this team, who would come in field and even interchange with Gakpo and Jota, where they can swap positions during the game in transitions, because then it'll just present a bit of unpredictability when we're attacking as well. So I think for me, that is a good mix in terms of the attackers. Obviously, Salah always starts, so that's not really a deciding factor. And in these sort of games, Nunez is probably more suited to come off the bench, where he can make that impact. Where let's say that you're saying it's 3-5-2, so obviously they're going to be pretty much shut shop, where they're not going to try and leak any space for us at all. So you need to have someone that will come on and cause chaos And I would prefer it to be Nunez rather than Gakpo. Gakpo will probably come on. If he was a sub, he'd come on and kind of hold the play and try and make things happen, be a bit more efficient on the ball. Whereas Darwin Nunez, he's going to be the guy on the shoulder, trying to stretch that team. And then you've got Diaz as well, coming off the bench, providing width on the left-hand side, similar to what he did against Luton Town. I know it was a small cameo, but he made a big difference on that left-hand side where he actually took on the fullback and really tried to make things happen. So I actually think this will be the lineup that starts, but you let us know in the comments what you think about our team today.
I think that's a good lineup, though. I mean, like, if you look at that lineup, it's a good lineup. It's a formidable lineup. I mean, it's going to be interesting who wins the midfield, because that's where the battle is really going to be waged, because by having 5 members in the midfield, you can now create like that pentagon of like the counter press as opposed to just the box counter press. And it's just about numerical dominance as well when it comes to the midfield. So it'll, like you said, if you have the likes of Cody playing like that false 9 kind of role, and he's coming back into the midfield to help out, and Diego helps out all the time anyway. And if you bring in Salah as well that's cool. They're letting you move them for a little while.
Yeah.
They weren't letting you move them.
Yeah, that happened a couple of weeks ago. I was thinking, what is going? I was getting annoyed when I was doing my live stream, but yeah, you can move them now again. I think there must have been a bug on the website, but yeah, you can move them back.
But so I think that's what will happen. And if that does go down, then I think that it should be interesting. I know that they're going to be chomping at the bit to get their get Wissa or Maupay, excuse me.
It's a mouthful, that name.
So sometimes it's a mouthful. Pause on that. But,
Pause.
But like, it's a matter of getting those players. I know they're going to really be trying to get those players on a break or two or something like that. And they will get 1 or 2. They'll get 1 or 2. It's about hopefully Allison can shake off, because Allison's play hasn't been the greatest the last couple of games either, I think personally. Now, it hasn't been like subpar. It hasn't been like absolutely horrible. But I'm just saying that, I think he could have done more of the Luton goal. There's like another goal. I'm trying to think. There's another goal that he could have made more of. It's very similar to like Kelleher. Kelleher's form has been off.
Yeah, I'm seeing cracks in Kelleher's game as well. I think we're used to seeing a bit more stability with these goalkeepers. I think with the Luton one, I'll give Allison the benefit of that. I think he assumed that the player was going to shoot with his right foot. So because he shot with his left foot, I think the way his body is opened up, I think he just read the pass completely wrong.
Yeah, so that's why I agree completely. But that's the reason. But he's a world-class keeper. So
I know.
You just said it yourself. He took the test. He got the question wrong. Then guess what? Like, you're a world-class goalkeeper. You shouldn't be getting those questions wrong.
Yeah,
it should be instinctive. But I'm not saying that he's a crap goalkeeper in any means of the word. I'm saying he's the best in the world, if anything. And it's I'm a little disappointed when he doesn't make them, but I expect and anticipate that he will make them.
No, that's a fair assessment. Don't worry. Hopefully, no one clips you saying that Allison's a terrible goalkeeper, because that.
I never said he's a terrible goal. Don't put words in my mouth. I did not say he's a terrible goalkeeper.
No, he did. I'm just joking, guys. I'm just joking. But okay, in terms of score prediction, you're saying Brentford have the capability of scoring a goal or 2. So, what's your final score?
3-1.
3-1.
That's a safe bet. That's a safe score when it comes to Liverpool. That's the safe score to call out, considering they've had a couple of 3-1s already.
True.
I really want to see them put in a clean sheet. To be honest with you, I really want to see them put a clean sheet in. If it means 2-0, I'll take 2-0. But I'd like to see them do a clean sheet. But I have a feeling it's probably going to be like 3-1. And of course, I'm going to pick Liverpool, but
of course. Who would be your goal scorers if you had to predict?
If we're going with this lineup,
Yeah.
going with this lineup, let's go. Because it matters. I'm thinking of like, is Nunez going to come off the bench, and then or is Diaz going to come off the bench? I think we got a heroic from Diaz last week, so I'll go with Gakpo scoring a goal.
Yeah.
I'll go with Van Dijk scoring a goal,
Okay.
and I'll go with Diego scoring a goal.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to go for 2-1. I would like to keep a clean sheet as well. I feel like that would give the fan base a bit of faith that, we're a bit more stable at the back. But the way we performed against Luton and tonight as well against Toulouse, I know it's going to be different personnel. It's not going to be the same players, but I feel like it can always be at the back of your mind that, we've not been doing really well as a defensive unit. So Brentford, I think, are a very tricky opposition. I know it's at Anfield, but I think because they're playing with two attackers, they will cause us issues 100%. So in terms of goal scorers, I'm going for Diego Jota and Gakpo. And for Brentford, it will be Mbeumo. That would be my prediction for that one. So,
but you said Diego, and you said who you say?
Gakpo. So Jota and Gakpo.
Okay.
As the two goal scorers, and then Mbeumo gets the goal. I actually think I don't want to make too many wild predictions, but I think Brentford will actually score first as well. Because I always feel like that's just a Liverpool trait this year where we kickstart when we concede. So
right.
It's not a good trait to have, but unfortunately it is with the current team right now.
It's not a fun trait to watch at all.
Not at all. But yeah, that's my prediction for today. So everyone, let us know in the comments what you think the scoreline will be. And that's a wrap up for today, guys. So thank you to everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Liverpool 12th, man. Thank you as always for coming on the channel. It's your first time. It won't be your last, that's for sure. Please let the people know where to follow you on social and how to check your content out on your YouTube channel.
Sure. So for myself, you can find me at Liverpool 12th Man. Just as that says, and also congratulations to Lucho for reuniting with your father. That's what that says in Spanish. And I also can be found on Twitter or X. Now it's called X, and it's the Reds 12th Man, and it's something that I do engage on. So if you do reach out to me there, I will reach back, and I will reach out to you and answer your tweets or your exclamations, I think they're called, or something. Yeah, at Liverpool 12th Man on YouTube, like I said earlier. Thank you very much for having me on your podcast and your platform. I appreciate the opportunity to always chop it up with any proper red, and Ozzy's certainly a proper red in that he supports the club. He's very critical when it's necessary, and and supportive always. So big up to Ozzy, big up to those in the chat. And yeah, you'll never walk alone to all those Reds out there.
Thank you, Liverpool 12th Man, for your kind words. Appreciate it as always. So yeah, thank you guys. I will be doing a match reaction. It might not be straight after the game, so I plan to do it on Monday evening. It will be 10 p.m. UK time. So make sure to come on. It's a calling session. So 12th Man, even if you're available, feel free to come on, have your say on the show. As always, guys, take care, stay safe, and I hope to see you all very soon. Goodbye.
Take care.